Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, which is Pesachim Kuf Tesayin. We're 3 lines from the top. Afal Pishen Charoises Mitzvah. Let's go back to the Mishnah for a moment, which told us that you bring vegetables, you bring matzah, you bring chazeres, and you bring charoises. The Mishnah tells us, although we bring charoises, but you're meant to know that it's not a mitzvah. Says the Gemara, the obvious kasha. V'lo mitzvah, well, if it's not a mitzvah, mishum mai ma'isa, then why do we bring it in the first place? Amar of Ami, as we learned yesterday, mishum kafa, to avert sakana. The chazeres has kafa in it. According to the first pshat Rashbam, it was an eres, some sort of sharp sap, which can be dangerous. According to the second pshat, it's describing the worm that can be found in the chazeres, and the charoises will neutralize either the sap or the worm. So the charoises was used as an antidote for the danger inherent in chazeres. So it's not a mitzvah, it's just to keep us safe and sound, and perhaps this was specifically established for the night of Pesach, because although perhaps many people will not be affected by the effects of the chazeres, as long as there's somebody out there that perhaps is sensitive to the chazeres, Chachamim made sure when they established the mitzvahs, when they handed down the mitzvahs and gave us the instructions of how to perform them, that there should be no even chance of danger, and therefore they will masaken charoises in tandem with the chazeres, so that everybody out there is safe and sound. Continues the Gemara, Amar of Asi, kafa the chasa. How does one neutralize the effect of this kafa in the chasa, in the lettuce? Chama. He's meant to take some radishes, which will neutralize the effect. Kappa the chama. How do you counteract the effect of the kappa inside chama, inside radishes, if one happens to be affected by that? Karti. He's meant to take some leek, which will neutralize the effect. Kappa de karsi. If one happens to be affected by the kappa found in karsi, in leek, chamimi. He's meant to ingest hot water, which will counteract the kappa in the karsi. Kappa de kulu. If one happens to be affected, he falls ill on account of the sharpness found, the kulu of all vegetables, chamimi. He's meant to have some hot water, which is the universal solution for all kappa. Says the Gemara, while he's at it, until he gets a hold of the antidote, he should recite the following chant. Kappa, kappa. He's addressing the kappa. Now, obviously, this is the spiritual property of the kappa ailment, because we know that all illnesses and sicknesses and ailments have two aspects to them. There's the physical aspect, and of course they represent also a spiritual malady, a spiritual deficiency. So here, while he's going to get the medicine, in the meantime address the spiritual aspect by saying, Kappa, kappa, dechir nalach. I remember you. Uloshev bansich and your 7 daughters, ulotamne kalsich and your 8 daughters-in-law. This somehow will neutralize the effect of the kappa. So according to Tanakama, the point of the charoises is to neutralize the possible effect, the negative effect, negative physical effect of the kapha, whether it's the acid found in there or the bugs found in there. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, mitzvah. He maintains that it's actually a mitzvah to have charoises. My mitzvah. What's the purpose of this mitzvah? What's accomplished by having charoises? Says the Gemara, it's actually meant to perform as a zeicher, as a remembrance, to help us re-experience the Mitzrayim experience and the Yetzias Mitzrayim. And we have 2 approaches. Rabbi Levi Omar, zeicher letapuach. In the charoises, they would also put apples, and this was a zeicher, a remembrance to the neis, how Hashem took care of us in Mitzrayim. Rashi will bring for us the Noshim Yisraelis would hide under the apple trees and give birth with ease so that the Mitzrim who pursued them would not notice that they had children. So this was the nace that we're trying to demonstrate by having the charoises, trying to have a zecher to that, by having crushed apples and having it at the Leila Seder. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, zecher letit. It's actually a zecher for the shibud Mitzrayim, the difficulty that we experienced in Mitzrayim. The consistency of charoises resembles mortar, which was part of the shibud Mitzrayim. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, the charoises is very much hand in hand with mortar. So when we have the mortar, which highlights the shibud, the bitterness of shibud Mitzrayim, we also have the charoises to go along with it, which demonstrates the building material used during the shibud. Amar Abaye, Hilkach. Therefore, since we have two approaches, whether it's a zecher for the nace that took place under the apple trees, or zecher letit, building material, let's cover both bases. Hilkach tzarech l'guye. We have to use a tart. You have to add tartness to it. So that would be accomplished by putting in apples and perhaps some vinegar. And we have to make it in a way that it's thick, has a thick consistency, as he explains. The kuhuye, we make it somewhat tart, zecher tapuach, as a remembrance for the apples. And we make it thick, zecher tit, as a zecher for mortar. Tanik Basi Rabbi Yehuda. We have a right to Rabbi Yehuda's approach, who holds that the point of charoises is to remember the tit, building material. Tavlin, zecher tavlin. We put tavlin spices. The Rambam says we add some licorice, cinnamon. Zecher tavlin, because that's stringy and it gives the appearance of straw. Charoises, we have crushed fruit or vegetables, zecher tit, and that gives the impression of mortar. So we have a raya to Rabbi Yehuda's approach, that charoises is meant to resemble the building material used in Mitzrayim. We have long and stringy elements, we have crushed elements, which gives us the impression of mortar and straw, which was also part of the gzera, right? One of the gzeras was they have to go look for teven, the koishesh kash teven. So we have both elements, we have the teven, we have the tit. Omar Rabbi Loza Reb Tzadok. He brought a raya to his shita, that indeed charoises was a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. From the way the vendors in Yerushalayim used to call out, attract customers for their charoises. Kach hayu oimrim tagore charach shib'Yerushalayim. The tagore charach, the window vendors, tagore vendors, charach, peeking out the cracks of the windows, shib'Yerushalayim. This is how they would announce and attract their customers. Boyut lulochem tavel mitzvah. Come, purchase some seasoning for your mitzvah, for the charoises. Apparently we see that charoises was a mitzvah midrabban. Let's take a look at the Rashbam. Let's drop down 11 lines in the Rashbam's lines. Mishum kafa. So according to Tanakama, the point of charoises was to serve as an antidote, to neutralize the kafa, sraf, chazeres, the acrid acid, the sap found in the chazeres, kashu, varkeres, and it's like poison, and can bring a sakana. Kappa the chasa. The Gemara proceeded to give us some medicinal instructions here. Kappa the chasa misha achal chazeres v'chol. If one was affected by the kappa and the chazeres, b'shvil kappa, he should have some radishes and recover. Kappa the chama karsi misha atznoin v'koshalei. If one was affected by the radish, yachol karti kreishim, should eat kreishim leeks. Chamimi. If one had an ill effect from the kreishim, he should drink hot water. Yishte ma'im cham. Kappa the kula chamimi eresh akol yirokos. Chamimi ma'im cham and refuah lehen. If one fell ill as a result of the eres found in any other vegetable, hot water will serve as a refuah. This was Hanakama's approach. Charoises was merely to avert sakana, whereas according to Rabbi Lezer, it was a mitzvah. And the Gemara tells us two approaches. Either it was zecher l'tapuach, explains the Rashbam, the Jewish women would give birth underneath the apple trees without any pain, so that the Mitzrim wouldn't get wind of what's going on. That's the point of the charosis to remember the nes. Rabbi Yehuda says it's to remember the tit, the Shivat Mitzrayim, which involved building material, tit and teven. Abai tells us, okay, let's cover all bases, and that's why it has to be tart and thick. Crush lots of vegetables in there so it gets thick. Actually, Tosfos brings the name of the Yerushalmi that some would make the charosis in a way that it resembles blood, the dam of Mitzrayim, and I guess they would, he said they would add some wine, some vinegar, wine perhaps the red wine, which would give it that bloody appearance. He brings from the Go'ainim that the charosis is meant to contain all the fruit mentioned in the Shir Hashirim, things which are nimshal to Klal Yisrael. Apples. He brings rimoin, te'ena, tamar, egois, and shkedim, almonds. Al Shem sheshaka d'Hakadosh Baruch Hu Hashem sought to bring the kates as early as possible. Hashem shortened the shibud, as we know, from 400 to 210. So lots of ways of making charosis. Continues Rashi. We saw this and it also needs to be somewhat sour, somewhat tart. To add some apples. This pekiyu, which has this tartness, so Abai tells us, do it both ways. Have it a little sour and thick, so it gives the zecher l'tapuach and zecher l'tit. Tavlin, besomim shmatil mecharis zecher l'tevin. You stick some tavlin, some seasoning, which gives that appearance of straw, of sticks. V'charosis, shekochim we had zecher l'tit, and we crush the fruit, the vegetable, which gives us a zecher l'tit. And he brought a right from tagore charach. Says Rashi, what does charach mean? This is a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Hashem peeked out, so to speak, from the cracks. Chanvanim hayoshim etzel chaniyoseyim, or chaloy neseyim, is in there. Windows umaychron, they sell ingredients for the charosis. That's why he refers to them as tagore charach. They were peeking out of their windows, announcing their wares. Now, it's interesting that he would refer to them as tagore charach. He could have simply said, this is the way they used to sell in Yerushalayim. He refers to them as tagore charach, and the Rashbam refers us to a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Meitis min hacharak, perhaps it's very fitting for the topic at hand. The point of Hashem being meitis min hacharak means that although it's dark, it's a hester. Hashem, so to speak, is hiding behind the wall, but Hashem was always peering out and looking out for our good and watching over us, even in Golus, and eventually He's Nisgal, he reveals himself and takes us out completely. And that's what happened in Mitzrayim. Hashem peered through the cracks and came and took us out. Tagore charach shebishalayim. They saw the charosis. The premise here is, you're bringing charosis to the table to remember the Shibud Mitzrayim and experience the bitterness of the bondage of Mitzrayim, the Chomer, Levenim, hard work. But it was only a temporary phenomenon. Hashem was constantly, even during the hardship, peering through the charakim, peeking through the walls, through the cracks in the walls, and eventually took us out of Mitzrayim. So this is a chizuk throughout the Deiros. Continues the Mishnah. Mos goloi kais sheni. Okay, we had the kais rishon, which was the kiddush. Then they served the first portion of vegetables. Now we're holding at the second kais. Mos goloi kais sheni. They poured him a second cup. V'kana ben shel. Now it's time for the son to ask, what's going on? Another cup before the Suda? Since when do we drink so much wine before the Suda? V'kana ben shel aviv. V'mein das ben. However, if the son is not intelligent enough to initiate this type of question, Aviv Malamdoi, his father will teach him, as we do today, a standard in all schools. The kids come home with the Manishtana. So you ask them, Ma Nishtana Halayla Azem Kalelis. Why is tonight different than all other nights? Shebachal Halaylos on Oichlan Chametz and Matzah. Other nights we don't hesitate to have chametz and matzah. Halayla Azem Kulei Matzah. Now it's strictly matzah. Shebachal Halaylos on Oichlan Shari Rokis. Other nights we eat anything. We're not makpid specifically on eating marar. Halal is a marar, but tonight we're makpid. We're specifically eating marar. All the nights we have meat in all varieties, presented and prepared in all ways. Tzali, roasted, shalak, overcooked, and mavushal, plainly cooked. But tonight, look, what do I see on the table? I see the Karban Pesach, the Karban Chagiga, it's all roasted. What's going on? All other nights, we don't necessarily dip, even once. Tonight, we go ahead and we dip once, we do it again as part of the Seder procedure. Now that the son is done asking his questions, his father will respond in kind, and depending on the intelligence level of that child, that's how the father will respond. In principle, he's going to begin describing our humble beginnings. Begnus, the Gemara says, according to one approach, how our forefathers were. And he concludes by praising Hashem. Look how far we've come. Hashem extracted us from Mitzrayim. Hashem brought us to Him and chose us as His chosen nation. So that's the Siyam B'Shvach. He concludes by thanking Meshabech Hashem. V'dorish, and he's dorish the psukim that we have by the Parsha of Bikurim, Arami, Ovid Avi, beginning all the way back from Arami, which was Lavan, they cheat. Ovid Avi tried to destroy our forefather Yaakov, and he continues throughout the whole story, and eventually we came to Mitzrayim. Hashem extricated us from Mitzrayim, and brought us to Him and to His Avodah, and look how we are today, His chosen nation. Until he concludes the entire Parsha. Let's see the Rashbam inside. Notice the wide lines on bottom. 7 lines before the wide, we have Masnis. V'kana ben shoylos aviv, v'kan ben mazigas kesheni. Now, when we pour the second cup of wine, ha-ben shoylos aviv, imuchach, the ben will initiate a question to his father. Manishtana achshav shemoizgin kesheni kadem achila. What's going on? Why are we pouring another kais before the meal? V'rabbeinu kibel, Rashbam brings another pshat. Rabbeinu kibel mi Rabbi Yaakov ben Yaakov. Here's another pshat from his Rabbi, the name of Rabbi Yaakov ben Yaakov. V'kein. Instead of v'kan with an aleph, remove the aleph, which gives us v'kein, v'chein ha-ben sheil. What does that mean? It is proper now. It's perfect timing for the son to ask. K'moin kein b'nois slafchat. B'nois slafchat came to complain, well, we want to have our father's nachla. And Hashem responded, kein b'nois slafchat doiver is ya. Correct. They're speaking correctly. So now, v'chena ben shel means this is the proper time to ask the question. This is the appropriate time. While they're pouring the second cup, he says, look, we just poured the second cup before the meal. Now, he'll ask his question. Throughout the year, we dip once, but now we dip twice. The first one was other vegetables, celery and the like. But Tibul Shein the Mara, the second Tibul involved Mara. Of course, this was only Bisman Shabes HaMikdash Kayim Hoisha Ilkin. After the son finished his questions, the son can absorb a lot, give him as much as he could, but otherwise, give it to him only on his level, as much as he can tolerate and understand. Masla Bagnus, then we'll explain Mefarsh Gemara exactly what this is. Continues the Gemara. Tanu Rabban Chacham B'nai Shoyle. The son is a Chacham. The son will ask the questions. If he made a Chacham, but otherwise, Ishta She'alta. Even his wife can ask him the questions. If that's not an option, Hu Shoyle Atzma. He will ask himself. He starts asking himself, and to himself, and responds to himself as well. It's better than just stating the fact. It gets him engaged in the topic. We know there are several facets to a person's brain. We know in Sfarim we speak about Chachma part of the brain, the Bina part of the brain, the Das. Chachma is the wisdom, Bina is the depth and the analysis. So a person can speak to himself. It's the Chachma speaking to the Bina responds to the Chachma. You know, somebody was once walking the Beis Medrash, walking by where Rabbi Yashiv was learning, and he hears his voice, and he's a whole conversation. He figures there must be a chavrusa going on. He looks inside and he sees one man sitting in the corner of Yashiv. He used to learn that way. He used to ask the guy, "What's Pshat the Gemara?" Oh, so it must be like no. So he used to have a whole conversation with the Chavetz Chaim. They say when he was sitting with Ada Chavrusa, that's exactly how he would learn. He would analyze the Gemara, all the arguments back and forth, and you would think He was actually talking to somebody. So the G'dalim would develop their minds. They have the ability to sit on their own as though they're conversing with somebody else. So in this case, there's nobody around. He should present the questions to himself, and that will intrigue and that would trigger his thought process and get him involved in the Sipo Yitzias Mitzrayim. Continues the Gemara. Even if you have two Talmid Chachamim sitting, they're fully proficient with the concept of Pesach. They should ask each other, Mikol Halelas. Continues the Gemara. Throughout the year we dip once. Tonight we do it twice. He says, I don't understand. The Mishnah sounds like you have to dip. On a regular night, you dip once, you have to dip once. Is that true that every day, every other day, it's not enough to you don't dip even once? Meaning, is it an obligation? Are you required to dip throughout the year? That's not so. So the words in the Mishnah seem a bit misleading. It sounds like you have to dip once on an ordinary night. That's not the case. This is how we're meant to present the Shaila in the Mishnah. Throughout the year, there is no chiyuv even to dip once. However, we have to dip twice. He asked, what do you mean tonight we have to dip twice? That's called an obligation when you're just doing it ladardaki for the youngsters. So the kids will be intrigued and this is going to pique their interest. That's not called a chiyuv. We do it, but it wouldn't be in place to say that tonight we have a chiyuv to dip twice. If the point of the double dip is for the kids. Elam Rav Safra, rather, hachitani, this is how we're meant to present the manishtan. All other nights, throughout the year, there isn't even a need. There's no need to even do it once. However, tonight, we are meant to do it twice. Although it's not a chiyuv, but that's standard procedure. Chacham will masakim, do it twice. But the tinoikos, and that's what he meant, shtei pamim. Continues the Gemara, maschel begnus u'masayim shvach. So when he responds to the kid, he begins describing our lowly beginnings and concludes with shvach. My begnus, what do we mean? The maschel begnus, what type of begnus? Rav Omar metchila oivdei avodos kochavim avodos kelulim ha'ivesenu, referring to our lowly spiritual beginnings. Initially, our forefathers, Terach and further up, were oivdei avodos zara, and then Avraham came about, and Yitzchak and Yaakov, and turned the tide. And look who we are today, Hashem's chosen people. Ushmuel Amar, referring to the Shibud Mitzrayim. Avadim Hayinu, we were enslaved by Mitzrayim, and then Hashem took us out, and look where we stand today. Amar lehi Rav Nachman leDoru Avdi. Rav Nachman turned to his Eved, whose name was Doru. He wanted to make a live demonstration of the Manishtanim. And he asked them as follows. I have a question for you. Avda de mapikle, Morei lecherus. If you have an Eved, whose master, Morei, is mapikle lecherus. His master sets him free. V'yoveli kaspa dahava. Not only does he let him go, but he loads him up with kaspa, silver, dahava, and gold. Mai boi l'meimerle. How's the Eved meant to respond to his master? It was like a Chashverosh with Haman, a person who finds favor in the king's eye. What are we meant to do with him? Perhaps the Eved thought that he was seeking his input for himself. Oh, so the Eved says, wow, that's amazing. If that would happen, Amar lei, boy loy duye. Certainly the Eved has to thank l'shvuchi and praise his master. Oh, Amar lei, so Nachman said, and some take out the next four words, Pasach v'Amar avodim hayinu. Some take out from Amalei to Pasach. So what happened? When Rav Nachman heard this response, Pasach v'Amar. He began Avodah Mayinu. We can skip the Manishtana ceremony. We have it right in front of us. We had a question. What do we do when an Eved is set free and given riches? And he responded, he has to thank the Mishabech. Now let's get down to business. That's exactly what happened to us. Avodah Mayinu. And he went on describe the whole process of shibud. We were avodim, and this is what happened to us. Hashem set us free. Hashem was meshachar us and gave us riches, gold and silver, whether gold and silver in a physical sense from Mitzrayim, the chush gadol, or the spiritual sense, the gold and silver, which is a remiss to spiritual madrigas, and that explains why we celebrate tonight. Continues the Gemara. Rabbi Gamliel Omer, he used to say like this. Now we're going to proceed with the Haggadah. Kol shalei Amar Shloisha Dvarim Elu Pesach. If one fails to elaborate on the following three topics on the night of Pesach, lo yotzei dechavasai, he hadn't really fully fulfilled his obligation. The Ran says it doesn't mean he wasn't yaitz. It means lechatchila, preferably he's meant to get into discussion regarding these three things and describe them in depth. Ve'eluhein was speaking of the following three things: Pesach, Matzah, Mar, to explain the background and the meaning behind these three mitzvahs: to come Pesach, why we eat Matzah, and why we eat Mar. Pesach, why do we have Pesach? Al Shem Shepasach HaMokayim Al Botei Avaseinu Mitzrayim, because Hashem skipped over the homes of our Avos in Mitzrayim. This was during Makas B'Chayres, and we were saved. Shenema v'amartem zevach Pesach ul Hashem Asher Pasach. Although we know from Midrashim that Klal Yisrael was very deeply embedded in the tomb of Mitzrayim, still Hashem had Machmanos on it. He skipped over us. Gemara says it's because of the schusim that we had, the Dam Pesach, Dam Milah, which Hashem provided for us to protect us. And Hashem skipped over the Botei Aviseinu, and that's why we do Pesach. Pesach means to skip. Matzah, what's the point of Matzah? Al Shem Shenigul Aviseinu Mitzrayim, due to the fact that our Avos were redeemed from Mitzrayim. Shenema v'yoyfos habotzek asher yitziv Mitzrayim. There's another girsa on the side which says that we eat this matzah zu because lehispik b'tzeika mishal v'seinu lahachmitz. The dough of our avos didn't have a chance to become chametz. They left in such a hurry. At shenigla aleim hakadosh baruch hu b'golam miyad, because Hashem was goyal them immediately. It was such a hasty procedure. Shenema v'yoyfos habotzek, as we have in our Mishnah. So they went out in such a hurry that the dough on their backs it dried up so quickly. There was no time. It turned into matzah, and that's why we have matzah today. Now the Marsha asks an obvious kasha. We know from the Pesukim that Klal Yisrael already had a mitzvah of eating matzah before they left Mitzrayim. Right? When did this happen? This pasuk describing the botzek, which could not turn into chametz due to the hastiness, that happened much later, when they were on their way out of Mitzrayim. It happened in the morning. But they had already eaten the Korban Pesach the night before with matzah. So why did they eat the matzah? It was still before the event. So Mashal says perhaps there are two aspects to matzah. There's a matzah which has a positive effect on a person. It's like the menacha, it's mekadosh the person, and that was the matzah that they ate with the Korban Pesach, and that corresponds to the mitzvah's matzah. We know there are two aspects to matzah. We have the mitzvah of matzah. We have to eat the chiv on that first night, be'erev techul matzahs. Whereas throughout the rest of Pesach, there's no chiv to eat matzah. You just have to keep away from chametz. Says the Maharsha, perhaps there are two aspects here. The mitzvah of matzah, which they ate the night of Pesach, that was the positive element of the matzah, to mekadsh, to metar them. Whereas the matzah that we eat throughout Pesach, that's simply to avoid interacting with the Yetzer Hara. We know that chametz, the chimutz aspect within the dough, the Gemara Brachos tells us, is sa'ur shabe'isa, is the Yetzer Hara. And throughout the rest of Pesach, although there's no chiv to eat matzah, we want to keep away from the Yetzer Hara. And that corresponds to the second part of the matzah, which actually was a result of the circumstance, because they left in a hurry and the dough on their backs turned into matzah. Now, it's interesting that Beis Halevi presents it as follows. He says, how does this work? If the whole point of matzah is merely circumstantial because they left in a hurry, no time to make the chametz, then he asks the kasha, why was there a mitzvah before they left? They were going to eat matzah with the Korban Pesach. And we find that way before that, Avram Avinu, right? The Chazal say he had matzah because it was Pesach. What do we see? That the concept of matzah predated the whole Yetzias Mitzrayim event. How do we understand this? So, but Levi's approach is as follows. He says he meant to know that a mitzvah is not just a product of circumstances down here in this world, not just a result of some events that took place here. Although the pasuk says that the matzah was generated due to the hurried exodus, but matzah is a mitzvah, and he explains that a mitzvah is really purely a spiritual mitzias entity. It's connecting to a higher realm. As the Chaim Vital brings, that there are 613 mitzvahs, which are emanations from Hashem, giving us the opportunity to connect our 613 limbs, to imbue them with 613 lights of Kedusha. So each aspect, each mitzvah, is an opportunity for Dveikus B'Hashem, which precedes the events in this world. Says the Beis HaLevi, Hashem wanted us to have that opportunity. He granted us the privilege of connecting with Him through this matzah experience, which is freeing ourselves from the Yetzer Hara's grip, etc., like the Maharsha explained. And that preceded the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Just the opposite. The reason why circumstantially there was matzah Mitzrayim was because Hashem wanted to afford us the opportunity to eat matzah, to experience that purity. And the concept really predates and precedes Yetzias Mitzrayim. Avram Avinu had matzah on Pesach. The concept was there before that. So according to Beis HaLevi, the events that took place upon leaving Mitzrayim, the fact that they left in a hurry, which created a circumstance in which the matzah was produced, was all orchestrated by Hashem to bring about that result. So they experienced the purity of being without the Yetzer Hara, having the matzah without the chimutz. And indeed, the mitzvah of matzah really preceded that, and that's why they had the mitzvah the previous night, before they left Mitzrayim. So they experienced the matzah experience. If so, it's all tied together. The concept of matzah, which predates Mitzrayim, Avram Avinu's matzah, and the matzah that they were told to eat the night of Pesach with the Korban Pesach before they left Mitzrayim, and the fact that they left in a hurry, in which case they experienced that purity, and the matzah, the dough did not turn into chametz. It's all really tied together based on the same concept of Hashem giving us the opportunity to experience that the dveikas, the kedusha, the tahara of the matzah, the purity of having a life without the Yetzer Hara. Now it's interesting, the Gemara says we have matzah because they left in a hurry and they could not turn into chametz. Now the kasha is, we learned this earlier in the Masechta, that even in Mitzrayim there was an is of chametz. So why would they make chametz? So the Ran says, I noticed this yesterday, the Ran says that the Isser of chametz in Mitzrayim was strictly Isser Achila. They couldn't eat chametz on that first day, first night and the first day. But, and afterwards they could eat it. But Bali Ro, Bali Matzah did not apply in Mitzrayim. So you can have chametz in your possession. Therefore, says the Ran, if they would have had a bit more time, they would have turned their dough into chametz, hold on to it for the next day. So the fact that they were rushed out in a hurry didn't afford them the opportunity to make their chametz, and they had matzah, and that is the catalyst for the matzah today. Matzah zu al shnigla v'seinu Mitzrayim. They rushed out of Mitzrayim in a hurry, and Hashem extracted them from the grips of the Yetzer Hara, and that's the underlying principle and concept behind achilas matzah. Continues the Mishnah, Morer. Why do we have Morer? Al shum shemeru ha-Mitzrayim es chaya v'seinu Mitzrayim, because the Mitzrayim embittered the lives of our Abbas Mitzrayim. Shenemar v'yimoraru es chayeyim b'vaydakasha b'chayim l'venim. The Maharsha goes into a lengthy explanation. Why? Well, what's so significant in this whole presentation, why do we have to go and express the reasons behind Pesach Matzah Mar to the extent that Ramblil says if you haven't said it, you want Yotzi Chavase? So he says, Pesach at night, we have to experience it. We have to express it with words. And specifically, describe and elaborate upon the meaning of the Pesach Matzah Mar. And he says that in Mitzrayim, Klal Yisrael were embedded with Tumah as well. They were so integrated in the lifestyle of Mitzrayim. So the point of Pesach Matzah Mar was to extract us from that grip. He explains Pesach was the shechting of the animal, which was used as a Yitzhahara, as a Avodah Zarah. It was worshipped. The Teleh was worshipped by the Mitzrim. And Hashem instructs us, Mishchu tchu, pull yourself away from the Avodah Zarah, take the Teleh and shecht it. Take the lamb and use it as a korban and eat it. Ingest it. Instead of you worshipping the Avodah Zarah, shecht it and eat it and elevate it to Avodas Hashem. So that's why we express that with words. We speak about it. Pesach, al shum, Shabbat. We get into the whole discussion. Matzah. We also verbalize it. Matzah is the connection, the opposite of the chametz, which contains the element of the Yitzhahara. So they were gripped by the Yitzhahara Mitzrayim, gripped by the Tumah of Mitzrayim. Matzah frees us from that experience. That's why we express it in words. Matzah is why we eat it. We go through it. We elaborate on it to free ourselves from that effect. Marar, the bitterness which was experienced by being subservient to the Shibud and the Tumas Mitzrayim. So again, we describe it, we elaborate on it, and we free ourselves from that Shibud Mitzrayim. That's why Mashal says it's so crucial and fundamental to go into discussion, verbalize it, experience it, and free ourselves from the grip of the Koiches HaTumah that we experience in Mitzrayim. Continues the Mishnah, B'chol dor v'dor, throughout every dor, chayiv adam lirois. Or as the Rambam has a gersa, laharois es atzmai. One has to show, he has to demonstrate on himself, kilu hu yatzim Mitzrayim, as though he himself went out of Mitzrayim. How's that? Some Farshim explain, because all neshamas of Yisrael were there in Mitzrayim. Others explain, based on the Ramchal and Derech Hashem, that the year is called Shana. The Farshim explain, the Maharal explains, Shana is Lashon Shoina. It repeats itself. It's a cycle that repeats itself year after year. What does that mean? There's really one unit called a year, and that repeats itself. History repeats itself. And we go through the same elements, the same aspects of creation every year. Whether physical, all the seasons, spiritual, the different events, Yomim Tovim, and we experience them year after year. For instance, on Rosh Hashanah, we have the Yom Adin, year after year. On Shavuos, we re-experience the acceptance of Torah, Matan Torah. And we reconnect to that event. On Pesach, a person re-experiences the Shibud and Geula of Mitzrayim. Although not in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense. We're freed, we rise above the grip of the Yitzhahara. We become free in spirit. We're given that siyat, the Shmaya, to rise to great heights. That's why it makes sense that every year we have to show it on ourselves. We have to demonstrate. Kilu hu yatzim Mitzrayim. Every person has that Yitzias Mitzrayim experience. Shenemar, we find this in the pasuk. Vigatel bencha bayim uleimar. So what are you going to convey to your son? Ba'avur as Hashem li b'tzeisi mi Mitzrayim. Hashem li, to me, when I went out of Mitzrayim. So you see, it's a personal thing. No. So once you leave Mitzrayim, what do? You thank Hashem. Lefichach anachnu chayavim. That's why it's incumbent upon us, lahoidos, to thank, lahalel, l'shabech, to praise, all different lashonis of thanking and praising, lafar, l'roimim, lahader, levarech, to be mevarech, to bench, la'ale, l'kales, to Hashem, l'mi she'asa la'veseinu v'lonu, to Hashem, to the one that did for our avos and to us, and for us, eis kol hanisam ha'elu, all these miracles. Hoitzi anu mi avdas lacheres, and again we describe the process of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Hoitzi anu mi avdas lacheres, Hashem took us out from bondage to freedom, mi yogan l'simcha, from sorrow to joy, mi evil Yom Tov, from morning to Yom Tov, ma'afel or gadol, from darkness to a great light, umishibah de gula, from subservience to gula, v'noymar lefanav Hallelujah, that's why we proceed with Hallel. We don't say the entire Hallel, just the first portion. Until what point? Until where will he say? Only the first capital, the first section, which is the first parak. Which means, we include the second portion of B'tzeis Yisrael, we say the first two portions. And we conclude the Haggadah with the bracha of Geula. How do we describe that bracha? We have two approaches, Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Tarfon, we say, Baruch Atah Hashem, right? Asher golanu, v'gol es avesenu, Mitzrayim Hashem was goyel us and our parents. And there's a gerse on the side which adds, V'gi'onu halayla hazeh, Hashem allowed us to reach this night, le'echel b'matzah maror, we have the opportunity to have matzah maror, and the Mishnah continues, but we don't have a conclusion, a concluding bracha. We don't end Baruch Atah Hashem Gal Yisrael, because according to Rabbi Tarfon, it's relatively short bracha. It's like a brachas haperis, brachas hamitzvah. We learned this earlier in the parak, that when it's a short bracha, a one-themed bracha, then the psicha, the initiation, which is Baruch Atah, applies throughout the entire bracha, and there's no need to conclude with another bracha. That's Rabbi Tarfon's approach. Rabbi Kiva Omer, he maintains that it's actually a lengthy bracha. In addition to thanking Hashem for the past, we also add a bakasha for the future, a tefillah. Now, it's a double-themed bracha, and we need a conclusion. Rabbi Kiva Omer, he will add as follows: Kein Hashem Elokeinu, just as you have done Nisan for us in the past, so too Hashem, Yagi'enu, L'may Adam, L'gorel Macherim, Hashem, allow us to reach other Yomim Tovim, Habayim, L'kurseinu Shalom, which we will encounter in peace, Smeicham, B'binei Nirecha, let us experience the Simcha, through the rebuilding of your city, Yerushalayim, Musasma V'desecha, and joyous in your service, V'noichel Sham, Min, Ha-Pesachim, or Min Azvachim, or as Tosis has the Girsa, first Min Azvachim, and then Min Ha-Pesachim, because Zavach here corresponds to the Chagiga, which was eaten before the Korban Pesach. Right, the Pesach was eaten ala soiva, one already partially full. So the correct order is V'neichel Sham, we'll eat over there Min Azvachim or Min Ha-Pesachim. But in the Haggadahs, it says Amatzah Shabbos, he meant to do it the other way. Min Ha-Pesachim and then Min Azvachim. Why? Perhaps because the Pesach that falls out of Amatzah Shabbos doesn't have there's no Korban Chagiga. It's not meant to bring a Chagiga on Shabbos. So first you'll have the Pesach, and the Zvachim apparently is a reference to the Chagiga which will come on Yom Tov later on. The Chagiga is Tezvav. That's why first it's Pesach and then it's Zevach. And V'chulu indicates that there's more here. The Rosh actually brings the other missing part. So we're going to eat the Karbonos, Asher Yagia Domam Al Kir Mizbach Hachal Rotzain, whose dam will be applied on the Mizbeach, V'noide L'cha Shir Chodosh, and then we will thank you with a new song. Once we've arrived to the Gula, Al Gula Seinu, Val Pedus Nafshenu, and conclude, Baruch Atah Hashem, Ad Baruch Atah Hashem, Goal Yisrael. So according to Rabbi Akiva, since it's a lengthy bracha, which has two aspects, there is thanking for the past and also asking for the future, a long bracha can't suffice with the opening Baruch Atah, you need another bracha at the end, so you have a bracha on either side, and it's completely wrapped with a reference to bracha. Amar Rav Tzorach Sheyomar, during that God, you meant to add this pasuk. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim as well, as we mentioned in the Mishnah, because we ourselves experienced the Geulas Mitzrayim. Amar Rav, when we describe those three mitzvahs, Pesach, Matzah, Maror, it's not just a proclamation. It's meant to be a hands-on experience. Matzah, when you say matzah zu, tzorach lahagbia, you meant to pick up the matzah and say, this matzah, show and tell. Pesach at night, it's a very hands-on night. We have to experience the matzah, relive it, pick it up, show it to everybody. Rashbam says it adds chavivos to the mitzvah. They all take part, they see it, they're involved. U'morer tzarach lagbia. Similarly, when it comes to the maror, you say morer zu, you pick it up and you explain the background. However, basar, we know that bisman hazeh you have some cooked meat in the ka'ara. So when we get to Pesach, we can't say Pesach zu. It's incorrect. This is not the Pesach. Basar in tzarach lagbia. There's no need to pick it up because you're not saying. You're not pointing to it and saying Pesach zu. There's no point in picking it up. Not only that, we'll discourage you from picking it up. Perhaps if you'll pick it up, it will appear like this is a carbon. People will think, well, he was magdish it beforehand, and he's going to eat a karshim outside the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, when it comes to the Pesach, we don't say Pesach Zu, and we don't pick it up. Amar of Acha bar Yaakov, Suma, a blind man, Pater Miloimer Haggadah, he's exempt from the Haggadah. Why? Ksiv Hacha Bavur Zeh. By the Haggadah it says, Bavur Zeh Vigato Lebidcha Bayem Uleimer, Bavur Zeh Asa Hashem Li B'Tzeis Mitzrayim. And he's pointing to he's referencing the matzah. The point of the Haggadah is to explain the background of Zeh, of what's lying in front of him. The matzah, the maror. And he's explaining, look, this is why I'm eating this matzah and the maror. All because of the fact that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. And in fact, that's why Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, so we can have the matzah maror. It goes both ways. In any case, he has to relate to what's sitting in front of him. It has to be visible to him. If he's a summa, he can't experience it. And therefore he's pater from the Haggadah, which is so closely linked to the matzah and the maror. Ksiv hacha bavur zeh. Over here it says the word bavur zeh. Ksiv hasam. This is by the ben sur and meir. B'neinu zeh. The parents bring him to Bezdin. They bring their rebellious child and they say b'neinu zeh. The fact that it says zeh as opposed to just b'neinu hu, he's our child. What does that indicate? Ma lahalam prat summa. Just as over there, a summa is excluded. The parents can't see. They can't point and say b'neinu zeh, and a summa is excluded. Afkan here as well, when it says bavur zeh prat l'sumin, we exclude a blind person. He says the Gemara, is that so that a summa is pater? Va'amar Merema. Merema told us like this: Shiltinu l'Rabbanon. I asked the Rabbanon who were guests, the day of Yosef and the Homer of Yosef, on Pesach at night. Man de Omar Agad to Rav Yosef. Who was the one who said the Haggadah on behalf of all the guests in the Homer of Yosef? Who was it? Omer Rav Yosef. They responded, it was actually Rav Yosef. And Rav Yosef, as we know, was blind. Furthermore, Man de Omar Agad to Rav Sheshes. Who was the one who said the Haggadah on behalf of everybody in the Homer of Sheshes? Omer, they said, Rav Sheshes. It was Rav Sheshes actually who said it. And we know that Rav Sheshes also was blind. Apparently a blind man is chayav min haTorah in the Haggadah, because otherwise, how could Rav Sheshes have said the Haggadah on behalf of all the participants? If he's pater min haTorah, he can't exempt them, he can be mighty them. They're chayav min haTorah and he's not. There's a kasha on Rav Acha bar Yaakov who says that the chiv of Haggadah is linked with the Pesach being visible. Says the Gemara Savri, Rabbanon, the Rabbanon mean the Rav Yosef and Rav Sheshes, they held differently than Rav Acha. They held matzah b'zman hazeh the Rabbanon. Nowadays, the entire chiv of eating matzah is not min haTorah, because when there's no carbon Pesach, you don't have no chiv of matzah. That's one opinion mentioned later in the Gemara. They're so contingent upon each other. So if you have no Pesach, you have no matzah. The only chiyuv of matzah is only with the Rabbanon. Okay, so the chiyuv is manazeh of matzah is the Rabbanon, and the Haggadah, as we mentioned, is so closely related to matzah. When you have matzah, you have Haggadah, because they're interdependent. So if bizmanazeh, there's only a chiyuv the Rabbanon of matzah. Likewise, there's only a chiyuv the Rabbanon to say the Haggadah. Okay, so there's nobody that's chayiv in Haggadah min haTorah today. And that's why Rav Yosef, despite the fact that he was blind and he couldn't see that matzah, he can still say the Haggadah, because although he's exempt min haTorah, but he can still say it is chayiv min Rabbanon, and therefore he can be mitzi all the guests around this table. Says the Gemara Mechlal Rav Acha bar Yaakov Savar. Does this mean Rav Acha bar Yaakov tells us that a summa cannot be mitzi others with the Haggadah? He holds that even nowadays, Safar matzah b'zman hazeh d'oraisa, that matzah is not dependent on Pesach. Even when you have no Pesach, you're chayiv in matzah min haTorah. And if that's the case, then you're fully experiencing the matzah min haTorah, and the Haggadah, which is linked to matzah, is also chayiv min haTorah. And that's why Rav Acha tells us, a summa who cannot experience the matzah does not have a chayiv of Haggadah min haTorah, and therefore he cannot be mighty others today. Again, Rav Acha bar Yaakov holds that matzah today is min haTorah. Your typical fellow is chayiv in Haggadah and matzah min haTorah, because the two go hand in hand. And therefore Rav Acha holds that a summa who can't experience the matzah, he can't see it, he can't visualize, he's not chayiv in Haggadah, and that's why he cannot be Moitzi somebody else. Is that true? Is that the Pshat of Acha? That explains why he holds a Summa cannot be Moitzi. But Rabbi Yosef and Rav Sheshes held differently. They held that Matzah B'zman Hazeh is only Rabbanon, and therefore that God is Rabbanon, and therefore a blind man can be Moitzi. Is that the Pshat? That's not true. Why? Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Hu Amar Matzah B'zman Hazeh Rabbanon. He himself, Rav Acha bar Yaakov himself told us that Matzah nowadays is only Rabbanon. If it's only Rabbanon, then the Haggadah is also Rabbanon. So why can't a blind man be Moitzi others? Although he can't experience the matzah, he's patur min haTorah, he's chayiv in the Rabban, he can moitzi everybody else, who's also only chayiv in the Rabban. And says the Gemara, because Rav Acha bar Yaakov holds, although B'zman Hazeh it's only the Rabbanon, but whenever the Rabbanon fashioned a takana, it mirrored the way it was fulfilled min haTorah. They didn't create their new chiyuvim. Called the tikkun Rabbanon, whenever Chacham was masakin something, came the Raisa tikkun. It was established in a way that resembles the Deiraisa. And since when the Beis Hamikdash was around, and the Haggadah was min haTorah, because Matzah was min haTorah, you had the Pesach, you had the Matzah, you had the Haggadah. Since at that point, a Summa, since he can't experience, he can't see the Matzah, would be patur from Haggadah. Likewise, even nowadays, where everything's only the Rabbanon, it has the same guidelines. And therefore, a Summa, since he would be patur in the time of Beis Hamikdash, he's patur nowadays too, and he cannot go ahead and be moitzi others, even though their chiv is also midrabanan. But he's different because he would not have a chiv even in the time of Beis Hamikdash. They didn't go and create a new chiv for a Summa. Everybody else has to maintain their matzah and their Haggadah. But this Summa, who was never included in Haggadah in the first place, even in the time of Beis Hamikdash, is patur today. And that explains where Rav Acha bar Yaakov holds that he can't be moitzi others. Says the Gemara, so does Rav Sheshes hold. So does Rav Yosef hold. The Rav Sheshes and Rav Yosef Nami, according to them as well, they certainly want to apply this formula, called the Tikkun Rabbanan, Kein the Raisa Tikkun. A Tikkun the Rabbanan is meant to correspond to the same guidelines as the Din Torah. So how can a Summa be moitzi others even nowadays? Says, well, you're right. They didn't hold to this concept. Or Rav Acha bar Yaakov, who closely links reciting of the Haggadah with seeing the matzah in front of you. How can you compare Haggadah and matzah to the Ben Sura Ramayr? Yeah, over there. The person could have just said, B'nai Nehu, he's our child. Pasuk uses the term zeh. What is zeh coming to say? Shema mina prat l'sumno de'asa. Apparently, zeh means they're pointing, look, this is the child. We see him, we recognize him. Prat l'sumno de'asa is come to exclude blind people. Yeah, it's over there. But here, avalacha. Here by bavur zeh, by the matzah. Ila bavur zeh, my lichtav. What then should the pasuk have said if not bavur zeh? There's a reason why the pasuk says it. Ella, rather the meaning is very simple. Bavur matzu maru de'asa. The pasuk is simply telling us how the father speaks to his child. I want to tell you something. Bavur zeh, why am I eating this? Because I was taken out of Mitzrayim. Why did Hashem take us out of Mitzrayim? Bavur zeh. So you can connect to him spiritually through mitzvahs, through matzah mar. There's a reason why the pasuk says zeh. It's not to indicate that he has to actually see it. If he knows it's there, that's enough. So according to Rav Acha bar Yaakov, zeh means you have to point at it and say, this is it, you have to see it. Therefore, a Summa is patur. Whereas according to Rav Sheshes and Rav Yosef, no. It's not crucial to actually have to see it. As long as it's there, and you can explain yourself. Yeah, what we're doing tonight is very much connected to what's before us, the Matzah Mar. You don't have to actually see it, and therefore Rav Yosef and Rav Sheshes, despite the fact that they were blind, they said the Haggadah on behalf of all participants. Time for a brief chazara. We discussed the two reasons for charosis: to avert danger, to remember the tapuach, the nes, and Mitzrayim, or the building material. We discussed the manishtana. We discussed maschal begnus, our lowly beginnings, and the fact that we arrive at such great heights. That's why we meshabeach to Hashem. We discussed explaining the reason of Pesach Matzah Maror. We discussed that Yetzias Mitzrayim is personal. We discussed the Beis HaLevi. It's not that because we went out of Mitzrayim we have matzah, but rather because Hashem wanted the mitzvah of matzah for us. He took us out of Mitzrayim and created that circumstance. We learned about the thanking Hashem, the Gal Yisrael, the fact that you pick up the matzah, the Maror, not the Pesach, and a Summa. Going to one sheet is Chayiv, going to the other is Pater. Hatzlacha Rabbah.